Hi everyone, I'm Sophie. The book I want to talk about today is Jog On, How Running Saved My Life, written by Bella Mackie. Bella Mackie is a freelance journalist who lives in London. In this book, she shares her struggle with mental health and how running helped her become a better person and cope with mental health issues better. The book has 289 pages and I read it in Kindle version. It was very easy reading because I didn't feel like I was reading a book, but rather she was right in front of me telling me her story over a cup of tea. There are a total of 11 chapters and she named each chapter 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K, so on. I thought it was bloody brilliant. Out of 11 chapters, she dedicated the first 3 chapters talking about mental health. In the beginning, I was like, I thought that this was a book about running. But as I continued reading, it all made sense. Each chapter starts with a short insert of her journal that was written on a certain day. First chapter, 1K, Everything is Awful, starts like this. I ran for 3 minutes today, in the dark, slowly, and not all in one go. That's 3 minutes more than I've ever run in my life. I'm out of breath, and I've got a stitch, and I already feel better than I have in years. That's enough for a first attempt. Now I can go back home and have a cry, or some wine. Here we see her first attempt to run lasted only 3 minutes, literally a length of a song. Then her story starts. Since she was very little, she suffered from anxiety. She was agoraphobic, prone to panic attack, intrusive thoughts, hysteria, depression, and OCD. As being agoraphobic, she would avoid to go to certain places. Later, she realized how limited places there are for her to go. With having OCD, she would develop some sort of rituals, like she would blink her eyes for a certain number of counts whenever her mom goes to grocery stores. In her mind, if she didn't blink for a certain number of counts, then something bad would happen to her mom on the way. She knew that something wasn't right with her. But instead of seeking for help, what did she do? She hid it. She hid it well. She pretended that she was okay. She pretended that everything was okay with her. And in her 20s, she got married. And she continued to live her life pretending everything was okay. But then one day, her husband walked out. There was no pre-warning or anything. He sat down and told her he didn't love her anymore, just like that. And that happened within a year of their marriage. After that, for days, she cried, she drank, she binge-watched TV series. She realized that she couldn't pretend anymore. Then she had this sudden urge to run, and she never ran in her life before. So she went through her closet, found a pair of trainer shoes, she wore a pair of leggings and an old t-shirt, and she went out to run. So that day, as we heard from her journal insert in the beginning, she ran for 3 minutes and she was out of breath. You know what happened next though? She went back out again the next day. She put a really angry song that the singer is literally shouting, and she would run for 30 seconds and rest for a minute, run again for 30 seconds and rest for a minute, and go again, and like that. She ended up staying on for 15 minutes. Then she realized, oh wait, I didn't cry for those 15 minutes. I wasn't anxious at all. Oh my, I didn't even think about what if this, what if that. You know what? While she was running, she was so out of breath. The only thing she could think of was breathing, nothing else. Anyway, she ended up going out to run every single day afterwards. And more days go by, her running and breathing became stable, and she was able to manage stay on longer and longer. Then, as you can imagine, some positive changes happened to her. She became more confident about herself, and as a result, she decided to face her mental health issues. As she put it in this book, running definitely was a good coping skill for the mental health issues, but it is not a solution. So along with running every day, she started seeing a therapist and she got on meds to help. So years went by since then. She finally found her true love. And at the end of the book, she talked about how she proposed to him and he said yes. I believe shortly after the book was published, they got married. Through this book, she raised more awareness of the mental health, not only by sharing her own struggles and story, but also she shared many different studies and cases in this book to help our understanding. I always thought that I was pretty well educated when it comes to mental health. I personally have not experienced with mental health, but I observed and experienced through close friends and family members in the past. Also, I worked for a mental health and behavioral health service provider for over a decade. But after reading this book, I realized what I knew was just a knowledge. There was no one until Bella, the author, told me what was exactly going on in their head and what exactly they have to live with every single day. I mean, she shared her story so raw and so honest. While I was reading it, I felt really sad and felt so sorry that I just can't imagine to go through a day after day while everything is going on in their head, yet somehow manage to have a job. And it was a very, very, very eye-opening. I know that going forward that I'll be more mindful, considerate, and more sensitive to those who struggle with mental health. So after she talked about mental health and how she started running in the first 3 chapters, starting chapter 4, she talked about running. Here again, she not only shares her stories, but also shares many different studies and cases done on running. She also shares very specific tips that could help for those who think about start running or jogging. Believe it or not, after finishing this book, I had this urge wanting to run. So I did. I actually didn't run outside, but I went to the gym and ran on a treadmill. Well, actually, I should say I jogged. I set the treadmill on a 4 miles per hour and incline at 1. And I started jogging. And surprisingly, I could go on for like 20-25 minutes. See, I started working out at the Orange Theory Fitness for 6 or 7 months now. I guess I got stronger. Thank you, Orange Theory Fitness. You know, I am very grateful that I ran into this book and I read it. Not only it inspired me to become more aware and more mindful about mental health, but also it motivated me to keep exercising and maybe push me a little bit to go over my limit. She briefly talks about forming a habit, how running became a habit just like brushing teeth every day. When we start something new It is hard in the beginning, but when we repeat it over and over for enough times, it becomes easier and easier, and eventually it becomes a habit. You know, next two books that I'm going to review are about habits. How smooth, right? They're really great books as well, so stay tuned. And if you haven't subscribed my channel yet, maybe this is a good time to do so you won't miss out. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye! If you liked this video, please check out other videos in my channel. And if you like my channel, please subscribe.